now joined by new Chicago Bears wide receiver, Ted Ginn Jr. Ted, thanks so much for hanging out with us this morning. What have you been up to? How's quarantine been for you?
Quarantine been great. Sitting at home with my fam, becoming a teacher. I kind of feel like I'm repeating a couple grades, but it's been great. The atmosphere around the house has been great, and a lot of Zoom calls and virtual calls. So just a different wave, but it's been good.
Ted, I had the opportunity to talk to you last week, and you told, almost accidentally, a really interesting story about the arc of your career. So I kind of have a two-part question for you here. One is, you referenced that after the year in Arizona, which was your least productive year as a pro, you had kind of started to doubt whether or not your career was going to continue. And then that year in Carolina happens, you have 10 touchdowns, nearly 800 yards, and set you on the path you're on now. And so the part one of the question is, how important was it to have people around you believe in you? And part two, kind of separately, your quarterback there, Cam Newton, currently doesn't have a job. How surprising is that to you?
Well, I'm going to go with your first question first. A support system is the biggest thing that you can have. And when somebody is down and out, you start just to reach out, and with me having a background in sports, and my dad being my coach for football and track, my coach of life, you go back and you talk it over to him with your mom and your wife and different things like that. And they give you that gear to get back in there and go out and do what you have to do. And just going back to a place like Carolina at that time where you had so many friends and families and different brothers and different people that really knew who you was and knew what your deal was and how you can play. And, we was unfortunate not to have Kevin Benjamin that year that I think would have took us to another height. But gave me my opportunity and I just took off. And like you said, man, Cam just believed in each other and we took what we can do as far as us as the receiver group, with Philly and Devin Funches at that time with Greg Olsen. And we just did what we was good at. And the coaches exploited it and we had fun while we did it.
Ted, I want to start my question by saying thank you. We all miss live sports, and there's not a tremendous amount of sports stories in the sports ecosystem right now. So when you see a story come out just out of the blue, Ted Ginn says, by the way, I beat Usain Bolt in a race. Like, great, something to talk about for the next 20 minutes. Fantastic. So can you get into the details of this story, and is it even true?
It's a very true story. Pin relays, 2000 and what's that, 2004 pin relays. You had the U.S. teams, you had the Jamaica teams, and we was in lane 8. We was a team that was not even thought of. Didn't even show up in the rankings, and we came out, we jumped out in lane 8, and we was able to hold it. I'm going to get that film over to the world so we can see all that.
There we go.
I love it. Hey, I got to ask you about the quarterback situation, Ted, that you're going into in Chicago. Mitch Trubisky was the guy there the last 3 years. You got Nick Foles now. The two of them are going to be competing for the job. I guess it'll be questions that you will be asked when everything sort of gets back to some semblance of normal. Who do you predict you'll be catching passes from week one?
That prediction is kind of like out of my jurisdiction. I go in to play for whoever's under the center, no matter if it's Nick or if it's Trubisky. We're going to go in and push the season like we're supposed to and fight for both of them. But, only one is going to be able to play, and that's not my decision. That's the coach's decision. My part is to go out and make both of them look great, and that's all I can do.
All right, first of all, the fact that you beat Usain Bolt in a race shakes some of my foundational beliefs. My all-time athlete Mount Rushmore is Ali, Serena, Bolt, and LeBron. And if you're telling me Bolt wouldn't even be the fastest person on this call right now, then I have to reshape everything. So I apologize if my composure is lost a bit. but you really upset me here. So all I can do is just ask a question I already asked because I'm all aflutter. Well, how shocked are you that Cam don't have a job right now?
It's very shocking, just going over the history of guys that been in that type of position that he's in now. Usually go out, find a team, and that next team start his chapter. But for whatever reason, I don't see why. But it's not for me to really go into. Only thing I could do is just keep him up as a friend, stick with him as a brother, and whenever he need that support or talk to, just be there for him. He's a great guy. He's good at what he does, and he's a competitor. And some of that sometimes is a bad thing for him, is competitiveness, because of the way that he can, get in his slumps or different things like that. But I think everybody does it in some type of way, but his just get magnified.
Ted, America's foremost sports predictor, Nick Wright, has the Bears at 12-4 this year. Do you share that type of optimism about your team? And do you sense this type of optimism even though you guys are just on Zoom calls?
Well, right now, man, like everybody say, they always had a defense. That defense always stuck out, especially with Tremere Mack, and then you add the new safety that came, and, the different pieces is kind of coming into their building that they feel great about, and I think the whole team is kind of feeling great about it. Just through Zoom calls and just through everything, we're making our connections the best way we know how. And it's just a new age and a new time period right now. And I like that we are 12-4, and I see that, it's a great prediction. But, we just got to go out and act on it. And I think once we go out and, we get back into our facilities and different things like that, and get that chemistry going, it's all up to us. Every team, I'd have been on, you always say, well, receivers have to catch and quarterbacks have to throw, and that will win ball games, and that's what we have to do.
I just want to, Ted, quickly follow up on what Nick was asking. I didn't realize how close you and Cam were. Have you spoken to him since the offseason started, and he's been sort of letting the world know that he's healthy again? And if not, what would you say to him? Where would you advise him to want to go, want to play? What would be a good fit for him, you think?
Well, it's the National Football League, so you never get to pick where you really want to go. One thing I just told him was stay who he is. Trust the process, believe in the process, and when you get an opportunity, shine. And that's all you can really do, and that's my motivation. It ain't really too much you can really take to a person when they're in a situation like this, but, give them the most confidence and the most support that you can. And with him working out, it's just showing you that, he's in the place where he want to be, and whoever come get him, man, that diamond gonna shine.
Nice.
I like it. All right, Ted, we're going to switch gears just a little bit, have some fun, do a little rapid fire with you here. First thing that comes to mind, ready, set, here we go. Better pregame hype speech, Drew Brees or Cam Newton?
They both great. I plead the fifth.
Ted, that's not the rule.
I'm gonna go with Drew Brees.
There you go. That's how you answer the question. Number 2, here we go. Name something, Ted, on your bucket list.
Super Bowl.
Love it. Finally, name something you wish you were better at.
God.
Okay. Nick, deep. I yield the floor to you.
That's some personal excavation in Ted Ginn Jr. on a Monday morning. All right, listen, I'm not talking 04 pin relays, Ted Ginn. Talking about right now, middle of May 2020, middle of the street, you and Tyreek Hill. From here to the light post, who's winning?
Me.
Wow, the confidence is unbelievable. You, if people don't know, you played defensive back in high school. Your final year, I think you had a half dozen pick sixes. Better feeling, a pick six or a punt return touchdown, and why?
I say a pick six, because when you get a pick six, it's basically turned into a punt return. And whenever you be able to take that ball out of that offensive hands, especially where it's down, when they're about to score, and you take it all the way back home, I think that's the joy.
All right, lastly, and we'll get you out of here on this one. 6 first-round receivers taken this year. All of them immediately right now would sign up in a heartbeat for 14 years like you're in the midst of in your NFL career. Part of your secret, we're being honest, is you've been very adept, as we've talked about, at avoiding contact, if you will. What is the advice you would give them on how to avoid said contact, as you've done throughout the lion's share of your career?
Well, I think it's a knack that I have. Just growing up, always been a fast guy, but not the biggest guy. But heart is out of this world. And sometimes you got to just know who you are and what you can do. To survive in this league, it ain't about taking the big hits. It's about making the right plays at the right time. And I believe that I make the right plays at the right time without having the big impacts, and that's what's been my key, and I live by it. And, if it's, in my hands to win, I'm winning it. But if it's for my teams to get it, I'll make sure that I get in a position to make sure that they got it.
All right, Ted Ginn, thank you so much for joining us this morning. All the best of luck to you in Chicago this coming year. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.